welcome to my 2022 priorities list. So you will have seen in my 2022 bullet journal spreads that I actually have quite a few books and also as well quite a few series as well that I really want to prioritise this year. So what I thought I'd do is take you through all of the different ones that I've got on here and sort of give you a sort of 2022 priority list. So let's get into it. I've got a mixture of books and series on this list. I'm just going through in terms of like physical, then Kindle, quite frankly, because that's going to be the easiest way to do this. First thing I'm mentioning is the Dark Artifices series by Cassandra Clare. I have now officially finished The Mortal Instruments, The Infernal Devices, Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy, and The Bane Chronicles. By the skin of my teeth last year, I was literally finishing Shadowhunter Academy at like 5 o'clock on like New Year's Eve. I was literally by the skin of my teeth there, but I managed it, which means I am now onto the Dark Artifices, and these are 3 chunky books. Each one is like 800 pages, I think. How long is this one? Okay, that was wrong. That's 669 pages. It looks longer in my defense, but I want to get through these 3 in this series so then I can go on to the Shadowhunter Market stuff, which is Magnus and Alec, if I remember rightly, and then there's also the Chain of Gold ones as well, which are also chunky books, but those are for the dark... I don't know anymore. There's a lot of them. I've got these 3. These are the ones I'm focusing on next. I've also got the indexing series, so I've got indexing and also indexing reflections as well, and then I think a 3rd one's coming out this year. I mean, Portal Bookshop told me that there'd be a 3rd one out this year, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, there's going to be a 3rd one. But essentially, this is a Sean Maguire series set in our world, or a world very similar to ours, where fairy tale characters exist. That's all I really know. I went, Sean Maguire, fairy tales, I'm in, essentially. So, very excited to read this series as well. I've also got Lost in the Netherwoods. Again, I really want to read more of my retellings collection. I had a bit of a Peter Pan moment last year, so I do want to read this one. This one is all about Wendy after she's gotten lost in the woods, and then her brothers also vanished from the woods, but she's got no idea what happened in there. Now other kids have started disappearing. That's all I really know. That's all I really want to know. I have heard mixed things now, but I still really want to read this. Also, for the 100th time, we're talking about Amari and the Night Brothers, which everyone and their mother has read apart from me at this point, and I am desperate to read it. I've had it on like 4 separate TBRs and keep on running out of time. I've semi-put it on this month's TBR as well, but with the way my month's going, it ain't happening. But I just really want to read this one. It sounds like Men in Black. And I love Men in Black, and everyone is talking about this book. I am desperate to get to it, so I am definitely going to read it this year. And if I don't, please shout at me. Just shout at me if I haven't read this by January 2023. If I haven't read it by then, please shout. But I'm hoping to have read it by then. If I haven't, something's gone terribly wrong. But this is a priority. This is a priority because I am desperate to read it. I've also got Heart of Iron by Ashley Poston on this list. I have owned this one since like 2020. It's been like on a wish list since like 2015 or something ridiculous. My mum bought it for me for 2020. Still haven't read it yet, so I desperately want to. If I remember rightly, this is a Anastasia retelling? If I remember rightly, something like that. It's a retelling of something. And I'm pretty sure it's Anastasia, but I have watched Anastasia, the movie, once, and that is it. So, I'm hoping this one's going to be sort of like a more gateway into Anastasia. I don't know, I just really want to read this one. I've had it on a wish list for so long. I finally got it, and it's sat on my shelf for the last like 2 years, so it's time to get to it. I also really want to read The Gilded Ones by Namina Fauna. This one is gorgeous with like lovely sprayed edges as well. Again, I've heard so many things about this one. This one is about what happens when the main character's blood turns gold, and that means she's outcasted, but what happens when she joins a group of others who are also with gold blood, and they could be like fierce as weapons or something. And I really want to read this one. This one's got so much hype about it, so I'm really excited to read this. There's also Witches Steeped in Gold, this time by Shannon Smart, and this one is about 2 women. One has spent her life in a cell, and because she's the heir of an overthrown dynasty and she was exiled. And then the other one is the daughter of the self-crowned doyen, and they have to team up together to take down the doyen, essentially. Again, I've heard so many good things about this one. I really, really want to read it, so that's why it's on the priority list this year. And also, I mean, look at the pretty cover. It's absolutely stunning in the foiling and everything. I love it. I've then got Only Ashes Remain by Rebecca Schaeffer. This is the sequel to Not Even Bones, which was one of my favourite books of 2021, focusing on a world which is like monsters exist and the main character's been put through a black market to be sold off and all the rest of it, and what happens now that she's escaped. I really, really enjoyed the first one. It was like Wednesday Addams in a book, and I'm really desperate to continue on and read Only Ashes Remain, so that's why it's on the priority list. I've also got the Graveyard book by Neil Gaiman on here because I have not read this yet. I've put it on like 3 separate TBRs. I've heard so many good things and I still haven't read it yet. It's about a boy who is raised by the ghosts in a graveyard. Again, my dark Wednesday Addams heart loves this idea. I just haven't had time to read it yet, so this is definitely a priority for this Halloween. Show Us Who You Are by Elle McNichol. This one is basically an Own Voices autistic contemporary with a sci-fi twist. And essentially I've heard many, many good things about this one. I want to read more Own Voices disabled authors, and also I do not read enough books where the main character is autistic, so I really wanted to read this one. I really wanted to support an autistic author and also read more about characters like me, essentially. So that's why this is on the list. It's been on my shelves for like a year now. It's about time I got to it. I've also got As Old as Time. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling by, doesn't actually say, Liz Braswell, and this one is actually on the January TBR, and it's all about the idea of what if Belle's mother had been the one that cursed the beast. I have a ridiculous amount of Beauty and the Beast retellings I haven't read yet, and this one is one of the top priorities. It's the start of the Twisted Tales series, which is a set of companion books where one thing changes in each Disney fairy tale story, essentially, and I'm really excited to read this. And then the final physical stuff that I can actually show you, because it's not in the post, is the Something is Killing the Children series. This is a series of graphic novels, essentially. A bit of paper just randomly fell down then, okay, but this is a series all about basically a monster that is attacking children, and it's up to Erica Slaughter, the main character, to try and stop him. On to some of the Kindle stuff now before I go officially into the series stuff. The first thing is Cute Mutants. This one is, I thought, a graphic novel series. It's actually a series of novels, so yay me, more for me to read. This one is basically about a bunch of superheroes, or like people who want to be superheroes. It's something like that. All I know is that like the main characters are a bunch of nerds who love the X-Men, and I'm like, same! So I feel like it's going to be very relatable, and I've heard, again, really, really good things, so I cannot wait to read it. I've also got Raybearer on this list. I've heard so many people raving about this series at this point that I am desperate to read it myself. I bought it on Kindle when it was on sale ages ago, so it's about time I got to it. I'm very excited to read it. I've heard so many good things, despite the fact that I cannot remember for the life of me what it's about. I think it's about the main character has to infiltrate a group with the prince. Something like this. Either way, I've heard people raving about it. I'm desperate to read it, so it's on the priority list, so I can definitely get to it this year. I've also got 10,000 Doors of January. I've owned this one for a while. It's a portal fantasy with an asexual main character, and I know basically nothing else apart from the fact that I really enjoyed Witches Steeped in Gold, which is also by Alex E. Harrow, so I really wanted to give this one a go. The next one's going to make Abby very happy, and that is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to try and read this entire series this year. Like, that's not happening. But if I can read at least the first one, that is a start, essentially. The other books are chunky. That's why I'm sort of trying to go with like just one at the moment, because I've got a lot of other chunky books on the list and just generally chunky books surrounding me as well. So that's why I'm only going to say the first one. But I read the short story set before the Bone season last year and really enjoyed it, so I really want to read this one and read the Bone season and just see what all the hype is about. I've heard so many people raving about this series, so I really want to read it, and Abby will probably kill me if I don't, so I'm gonna read the Bone season this year, fingers crossed. And now that I've said this, Abby's now probably gonna turn my nagging skills back on me and not leave me alone until I read it, so I'm gonna get a taste of my own medicine here, but there we go. It worked for Good Omens, I'm sure it'll work on me. There's also Micaiah Johnson's The Space Between Worlds. This one is a alternate dimension sort of hopping idea, essentially. I really like alternate dimensions in stuff, and with like the multiverse and all the rest of it in the MCU breaking apart at the moment, I am seriously into the idea of multiversal stories at the moment. Please also ignore the banging. Next door is apparently hanging something at the moment, so please ignore that. But again, I've heard so many good things about this series, or this book I should say, so I really want to read it. And then I've also got Our Bloody Pearl. This one is by D.N. Bryn, and this one is about pirates. Disabled pirates, and I love pirates. I do not read enough about pirates. I don't read enough about disabled characters either, and I've had this on my like Kindle for like 2-3 years now, so it's about time I got to it, and it's one of my old books need reading priority lists, so I'm very excited for it. As for food graphic novels, I've got The Wicked and the Divine. This one is about gods who get reincarnated every couple of years, if I remember rightly, and this time they're like rock stars or something. This is like a really popular graphic novel series that's just passed me by for the last few years. I bought the first one when it was on sale on Comixology, so now I really want to read it, and so it's on the priority list because I do want to read some graphic novels outside of the Marvel Universe on occasion this year, because I'm mostly sticking the MCU, quite frankly, but that's fine. But I do want to read stuff outside of their publishing house as well, so this sounds like a really good one to start with. There's also Pretty Deadly. This one I really want to read. My best friend read it a couple of years ago now, if I remember rightly, and she really enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure it's something to do with the Daughter of Death. It's something like that. It's something to do with death, hence the title, and I love that. It sounds like a really good Halloween-y read, so essentially I'm backing up a whole load of Halloween reads, quite frankly, but I ain't complaining and I really want to read it. Then the final like graphic novel thing I'm going to mention before I go into a couple of the series I want to finish is Once and Future. I have really enjoyed this author's other work on occasion, or at least I've liked the majority of it. There's a couple I haven't enjoyed as much, but this one sounded really good. I've just forgotten what it's about. I've got too many synopsises in my head and I cannot remember what this one's about. I think it's sort of King Arthur retelling, or I'm thinking of something else. I think it's a King Arthur retelling. Either way, it sounded really good. It is really hyped in the comic world, so I wanted to give it a go. And then finally, a couple of the series I also want to focus on and make progress with. The first one is the Wayfarers series. I've got 3 books left, and one of those is a novella, so I should be able to get through them quite quickly. I've got the next 2 on pre-order, so I'm very excited to read these ones. I fly through them. They're really cozy, really nice reads, so I'm hoping I can get through them when I need a comfort read. I've also got new X-Men on this list. This one is post the Brian Michael Bendis series, where Beast has brought the original X-Men team who are teenagers through to the now after House of M. And so you've got like young Beast, young Jean Grey, who is currently dead at time of all of this, young Scott, young Iceman, and then young Angel, if I remember rightly. Yeah, it's those 5, and it's sort of like how they're sort of dealing with the fact that they're now in the future and they're sort of finding out stuff about the future, but they're also seeing their older selves and the carnage post House of M, essentially. I really enjoyed this series. I was going to continue it last year, but I was thinking after WandaVision I was certain that House of M was going to happen. Parts of it kind of did, but it didn't happen. But after WandaVision I was going to just read the entirety of House of M again. And then continue on with this series, but House of M didn't happen in the MCU, so I didn't reread House of M. I may reread House of M this year after Multiverse of Madness, so then I may just sort of go from like Avengers Disassembled all the way through House of M, all the way through the rest of that Brian Michael Bendis bit, and then go on to this one. Or I may just read this one and bite the bullet anyway, because I need to anyway, but I'll see how I feel. Either way, I definitely want to make progress with this. I really enjoy these stories. I really enjoy sort of seeing like these dynamics and how everybody's coping with this, and I just really want to continue on because I really love it. Speaking of X-Men, there is also the Dawn of X, because I keep on saying this, but I am seriously behind. Since I have started reading Dawn of X is finished. We've had Reign of X, Empire, Ten of Swords, and now we're on to Legion of X and a whole load of others, and I still haven't read any of it yet. And so people are talking about things like Inferno, the Hellfire Gala, and all the rest of it, and I am nowhere near done that. So what I really want to do is finish Dawn of X. I've only got about 6-7 volumes left, so I can do that. That is doable. Then I want to get through Ten of Swords, which is next, and then I want to start Reign of X. If I have not, like, I haven't bought Reign of X yet, but that is the next thing on the list once I've caught up. So what I want to do is get to at least Reign of X by the end of the year, which is doable, but quite frankly, my stretch goal is to get all the way to Trials of Magneto. That's my stretch goal. So if I can get to there, I'll be ecstatic. If I can just get to Reign of X, or start Reign of X this year, I'll be happy. Ish. I just really want to catch up. I really want to catch up. We're up to Legion of X now, and I really want to know what's going on. I'd also like to catch up with Rat Queens, and by that I mean rereading the entire lot, because I read each one very like far apart, and I've basically forgotten the story. So what I want to do is go back to the beginning and reread Rat Queens. I really enjoy the series. It's like a fantasy female badass team of mercenaries, which is just fun, quite frankly, so I really want to continue on with that. There's also the Fable series. This is sort of like Once Upon a Time for adults, in the sense that the fairy tale characters are in our world, but they remember who they are. I'm up to like volume 6 on this one. I've got one of them on my TBR this month, so I would like to continue on with that one. I don't have a particular like goal I want to get to. I just want to make progress with this series. I just had to do a quick pause again because my neighbours started drilling, but they've hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood, stopped for a minute. So the final thing I need to mention is Discworld, because obviously I'm going to try and read some more Discworld this year. I don't have a specific number in mind. 1 to 5 is good for me for Turtle Recall. That is my goal, so I'm going to try and read 1 to 5 Discworld novels. If it's 1, that's fine. If it's 5, that's also fine. I'm not going to try and push myself. I'm not going to try and read the entire series or anything like this, because I like stretching it out as far as possible, because there's only 43, and once I've read those ones, there's no new Discworld. So I'm going to try and sort of, as I always do, just sort of slow it down a bit. So I'm just going to try and read 1 to 5 of them. And that is absolutely everything I want to prioritise this year. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me what you're prioritising this year. I'd love to know. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me a turtle emoji down below to let me know that you were here. I'll also leave a link down below to all my social media if you want to check it out, including to the Comic Book Sanctum, which is my website dedicated to Marvel Comics. Or if you're more interested in bookish stuff, I'll also leave a link down below to my Redbubble and Etsy store, which sells bookish merch and bookish bullet journal stuff if you are interested in that. Or if you just want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time everyone, bye!